My husband told me the investors wanted a younger, fresher face for the annual cruise. He said I was too technical. He did not know I had already seen the $50,000 transfer to an elite modeling agency. He thought I was just his wife. He forgot I am the one who wrote the source code for his entire company. This is not a vacation. It is a hostile takeover of my life. The fog was rolling in fast, swallowing the Golden Gate Bridge in that picturesque postcard way that usually made me feel smug about our life. Tonight, it just felt cold. I pulled my cashmere wrap tighter around my shoulders, the San Francisco wind sharp even on our penthouse terrace. Marcus, my husband, was rattling the ice in his whiskey glass, a telltale sign he was about to say something he thought I would not like. At 42, he still possessed that restless, predatory charisma that had charmed venture capitalists out of tens of millions. I was 36, and I was the one who built the engine. "Sloan, honey," he began, staring out at the disappearing skyline. Not at me. "We need to talk about the cruise." My stomach tightened. The cruise. Our annual investor appreciation trip. 2 weeks in the Mediterranean on a yacht so large it was practically a floating zip code. It was usually my one chance to actually speak to the money men, to walk them through the data, to show them the beating heart of Nexus Corp, the company we built together. "What about it?" I asked, keeping my voice perfectly level. "The board and we've been discussing optics." He swirled the amber liquid. They feel we need a more professional touch this year. A dedicated brand ambassador." I waited. I knew not to interrupt his carefully constructed sentences. He hated being thrown off script. "Someone," he continued, finally turning to look at me, his eyes brimming with that practiced sincerity I used to find so intoxicating, "who can just mingle. You know you're brilliant, Sloan. Everyone knows that. But you're very technical. They want someone who can work the room, keep the energy up, focus on the lifestyle aspect. I am too technical." The words hung in the damp air between us. The woman who had single-handedly designed the Odyssey algorithm that was Nexus Corp, was too technical. The algorithm that predicted market shifts with 99.6% accuracy. The algorithm he was currently taking all the credit for. I let the silence stretch. Watching him, I saw the flicker of impatience in his jaw. He wanted this over with. I forced a small, disappointed frown. I looked down at my hands, clasped in my lap. "Oh, I see. I was really looking forward to it. I had that presentation on the Phase 2 rollout prepared." "I know, honey, I know." He rushed over, crouching beside my lounge chair, grasping my hand. His was warm and firm. Mine felt like a block of ice. "It is not about you. It is just about optimizing the experience for them. It is a business decision. That is all." I made myself meet his gaze. I manufactured the look of the supportive, slightly wounded wife, the one who understood. "No, I get it, really. Whatever is best for the company. Marcus, you know I am always Team Nexus Corp." The relief that washed over his face was so immediate, so naked, it was almost comical. He thought I was buying it. He thought I was that simple, that easy to manage. "That is my girl," he said, squeezing my hand, the condescension thick. "Thank you for understanding." He stood up, suddenly buoyant, the hard part over. "Hey, I will make it up to you, I promise. While I am gone, you go to Auberge, get the works, facials, massages, whatever you want. Put it on the black card. We will call it a mental health retreat, a spa trip, the classic Silicon Valley payout for a sidelined wife." He did not know I had been suspicious for weeks. Not since the new security protocols he had implemented suddenly locked me out of the financial servers I used to co-manage. Not since the late-night dinners with clients that never had corresponding calendar entries. Just then, his phone buzzed on the teak table. He glanced at it, his expression shifting. "Ah, work," he said, too quickly. It is the Tokyo investors. I have to take this inside. They are always on a different clock. He leaned down, kissed the top of my head, and slipped through the heavy glass door into the warmth of our living room, his voice already dropping into that smooth, persuasive CEO cadence. The second the door clicked shut, I moved. My phone was already in my hand. I did not open our shared bank account. I did not open the Nexus Core dashboard. I opened an anonymous shell app I had built myself 2 years ago, a silent tracker piped directly into the raw data feed of our venture capital fund, a backdoor Marcus forgot I had created when we were still just 2 people in a garage. My fingers flew. I was not looking for hotel charges or dinners for 2. I was looking for anomalies. And then I found it. A wire transfer. Sent 2 days ago. $50,000. It was not coded to payroll. It was not coded to R&D. It was coded to external consulting. The recipient, Elysian Management Services. My blood went cold. I knew that name. Everyone in this town knew that name. Elysian was not a consulting firm. It was the most expensive, discreet front for high-end companions and party atmospheres on the West Coast. A fresh face. A brand ambassador. The fog had completely erased the bridge now, leaving nothing but a churning gray void. I stared into it, the cold air finally piercing my skin, making me shake. He was not just sidelining me. He was not just cheating on me. He was using company money, my company's money, to hire my replacement for a trip I was supposed to be on. At that moment, I knew. This was not a marital spat. This was not an affair. This was a hostile takeover. I sat there on the terrace long after he went inside, the $50,000 charge from Elysian Management burning a hole in my mind. This was not a moment of sudden shock. It was a moment of awful, sickening confirmation. I thought back 8 years to when I was the rising star of Google's AI division. I was secure, celebrated, on the fast track to a fellow position. Then I met Marcus. He was all blinding charisma and disruptive energy, a salesman who believed his own hype. He had an idea. I had the skill. He convinced me to leave the golden handcuffs, to build his vision from scratch in our cramped Palo Alto garage. We were Nexus Core. He was the face. I was the architect. My algorithm, Odyssey, was the heart. It was not just a piece of the company. It was the company. An predictive analytics engine so advanced it made everything else on the market look like a child's toy. I sacrificed my stock options, my 401k, my stable future, and poured every late night and every line of code into our dream. The dream had been souring for a while. My suspicion had taken root 3 weeks ago. It started quietly. Marcus announced that our IT department, which he oversaw, was implementing new security protocols to prepare for our next funding round. Just a formality, honey, he had said, not looking up from his phone. A formality. The next day, I tried to access the financial servers, the very servers I had designed the architecture for. Access denied. I tried the admin credentials. Access denied. I confronted him, mildly, trying to sound more curious than accusatory. Hey, the new protocols locked me out of the finance dashboards. Can you have IT fix it? He waved his hand, that dismissive gesture I was beginning to hate. It is just a permissions glitch, Sloan. They are still ironing out the bugs. I will handle it. He never handled it. I was walled off from the money, for the first time in our company's history. That night, I called Jenna, my best friend from Stanford, my former roommate, and now one of the most sought-after white-hat hackers in the Bay Area. We had a standing pact from our college days. No questions asked. Jenna, I said, my voice low, pacing our enormous bedroom. I need you to help me get into my own company. There was a heavy silence on the line. He finally did it, she said. It was not a question. He locked you out. The financial servers, and I think, maybe everything else. That slick-suited bastard, she muttered. I never trusted him. Give me until tonight. Tonight. The night Marcus came home late, smelling of a faint, musky perfume that was not mine and the expensive whiskey he only drank with new clients. "Exhausting dinner," he mumbled, kissing my forehead as he loosened his tie. "Just brutal. These new guys are tough." He was asleep in 10 minutes, the deep, untroubled sleep of a man who believed he had gotten away with it. At 2 in the morning, my laptop glowed in the darkness. A silent message popped up from Jenna. "The tunnel is open. You have 30 minutes. Go." I slid out of bed and into my office, shutting the door. I was not just in the financial servers, I was in everything. His private drives, his hidden email accounts, the proxy servers he thought were anonymous. The dread was a physical weight, a cold stone in my stomach. This was not about an affair. I almost wished it were. I found the real itinerary for the cruise. It was not an investor appreciation trip. It was, and I quote from his own memo, a soft launch presentation. My fingers flew. A presentation for what I found the file, a sleek deck, all black and chrome, for a new platform called Apex. I opened the technical specs, my blood turning to ice. It was not a new platform. It was my Odyssey code. He had stolen my life's work, repackaged it, stripped my name from every header, and was planning to launch it as his own. But that was not all. I dug deeper, fueled by a cold, precise rage. I found the expenditures. I found the contract for the consultant. Her name was Kira, and the $50,000 payment was just the first installment. I found another internal memo, buried in a folder marked Strategy. Kira was not just listed as a brand ambassador. Effective next quarter, she was slated to become the new creative director of Nexus Corp. I typed her name into Instagram. Her profile was public, of course. A glossy, curated feed of a life I was apparently funding. Kira on a yacht in Miami. Kira in a VIP booth in Vegas. Kira in designer dresses, pouting for the camera. Then I stopped scrolling. My heart seized. It was a photo from 2 weeks ago. Kira, on a sailboat, the Sausalito skyline behind her. She was laughing, head thrown back, hair whipping in the wind. Around her neck was a bespoke platinum chain with a small, brushed gold compass rose. The necklace I had commissioned and given to Marcus for our 5th anniversary. The one he said was too flashy and kept safely in the vault. I could not breathe. I was choking. This was not just theft. This was a desecration. I had to know the endgame. I kept digging, my hands shaking so badly I could barely control the trackpad. I found an encrypted email chain sent to an external address I did not recognize. It was to his private attorney. The subject line, "Post-launch restructuring." I read the body of the email, and the world tilted. After the successful Apex launch on the cruise, Marcus had written, "We will execute the capital restructure. We dilute her. The 40% founding shares will be reduced to 4%, citing redundancy and non-compete clauses. She will be fully firewalled from the new entity by the time we return." 40%. My entire life's work, reduced to 4%. He was going to strand me at a spa while he sailed off on a luxury yacht. With my replacement, using my code, to sell my company out from under me and leave me with less than nothing. He was not just replacing me. He was planning to liquidate my entire existence. I did not sleep. I sat in my home office, the glow of the dual monitors illuminating the darkness, and watched the encrypted files I had copied. 4%. I did not cry. Tears are for sadness, for a broken heart. What I felt was not grief. It was a cold, clarifying rage. It was the sterile fury of an engineer watching someone trying to sabotage a clean system. This was not a betrayal of our marriage. This was a hostile, premeditated theft. He was not just a cheating husband. He was a con artist who had targeted the wrong data scientist. The next morning, I found Marcus in the master closet, zipping up a garment bag. He was humming. "You are up early," he said, flashing me that brilliant white smile. "I am just so excited," I said, my voice smooth. I am going to take your advice. I am going to head to that spa in Napa today. Start my mental health retreat right. The relief that flooded his features was so obvious it was insulting. He thought I was a problem he had successfully managed, a line item he had appeased. That is fantastic, honey. You deserve it. Just relax. Do not think about us here, he said, gesturing to himself. We will be working ourselves to the bone. He tossed the platinum card onto the unmade bed. Get the works. I picked it up. Whatever is best for the company, I said, smiling back. I did not drive to Napa. I drove straight downtown, into the glass and steel canyon of the financial district. I parked in a subterranean garage, took a silent elevator up to a lobby of cold white marble, and rode another elevator to the 49th floor. The doors opened onto a reception area that looked more like an art gallery than a law firm. The name on the wall was just one word: Petrova. Anya Petrova did not keep people waiting. I was ushered into an office that felt less like a room and more like a verdict. The furniture was black and chrome. The windows were floor to ceiling, offering a godlike view of the bay. Anya herself was standing, looking out. She was severe, elegant, and looked like she ate hostile takeovers for breakfast. So, she said, not turning around, you are the wife. She turned, her eyes assessing me. I read your intake. Your husband, Marcus, CEO of Nexus Corp. He is on his way to the Mediterranean on your annual investor cruise. He is taking another woman. You, meanwhile, have been sent to a spa. She walked to her massive empty desk and sat. Let me save you some time. Sloan, this is San Francisco. Your husband is a tech CEO. Him cheating is not a legal emergency. It is a statistical probability. The court does not care about adultery. You will get your half. It will be amicable. I charge $2,000 an hour. Why are you wasting my time? She was testing me. She was expecting me to break down, to list his infidelities, to cry about the other woman. I did not. I reached into my purse, pulled out a single encrypted USB drive, and placed it on the black granite. I slid it across the surface. It stopped directly in front of her. He is not just cheating, I said. My voice was low and steady. He is using $50,000 in company venture funds, coded as consulting, to pay for Elysian management services, which is a high-end escort ring. This is not for him. It is for the clients he is trying to bribe on this trip. Anya's posture changed. She did not look at the drive. She looked at me. I continued. He is on that yacht to present Apex, a new platform he is launching. Apex is a direct stolen copy of my proprietary source code, Odyssey, which is the sole IP asset of this company. I have the logs showing the data transfer. He is doing this to secure a private sale of Nexus Corp, without board knowledge, to a competitor. I leaned in. And while he is on that cruise, he has an email chain with his private attorney outlining his plan to execute a capital restructure that will dilute my 40% of founding shares down to 4%, effectively locking me out of my own life's work. I met her cold gaze. He is not just cheating. He is violating his fiduciary duty, and he is committing grand theft of intellectual property. My intellectual property. Anya Petrova stared at me for a long, silent moment. Then, a slow, thin smile spread across her face. It was the smile of a shark that just picked up the scent of blood in the water. Well, she said, her voice suddenly rich with interest. Now we are talking. She picked up the drive. You are not a wife, Sloan. You are a partner, and he has just made the single most expensive mistake of his life. So we file an injunction, I said, the adrenaline finally hitting me. We stop the trip. We freeze everything. No, Anya said, holding up a hand. That is what he expects a hysterical wife to do. You serve him now. He plays the victim. He buries the code. He claims you are unstable. He will tie you up in litigation for years until you are broke and he is not. You never interrupt your enemy when he is in the middle of making a mistake. She leaned forward, her eyes bright and merciless. You let him get on that yacht. You let him sail into the Mediterranean. You let him get comfortable with his mistress and his clients, far away from any jurisdiction. There is, she said, no better place to serve a man with a temporary restraining order and a full asset freeze than in international waters. We are not just going to stop him, we are going to strand him. But first, she looked at the USB drive in her hand. This copy is excellent, but it is still a copy. We need the weapon, the one thing that is irrefutable. I knew exactly what she meant. The master drive, I said. The original, time-stamped, cold storage hard drive of the Odyssey code. Anya finished. The one that proves unequivocally that you wrote it, you own it, and it existed before he ever filed the incorporation papers. A cold knot formed in my stomach. I know where it is. Good. Go get it. It is in the executive safe. In his office, I said. The one I built the company in. The one he just revoked my keycard access to. I walked back into our penthouse a different woman. The rage was still there, but it was no longer a wildfire, it was a block of ice. I had a strategy now. I had Anya. I found Marcus in his home office, a tornado of expensive linen shirts and leather dop kits surrounding him. He was barking into his phone at some assistant. He looked up, saw me, and held up a finger, his expression annoyed. I leaned against the doorframe, letting my shoulders slump. I waited until he hung up. What is it, Sloane? I am completely slammed. I looked at the floor, then at him, forcing the tremor into my voice. I know, I am sad. I am really going to miss you on this trip. I let my lower lip tremble, just slightly. It was a move I despised, but one I knew he could not resist. His expression softened instantly, moving from irritated CEO to patronizing husband. Oh, honey, he said, crossing the room to wrap me in a brief, one-armed hug. I know. I will miss you too. It is just work. It is going to be a total grind, all meetings. You would be bored to tears. I know, I said, forcing a watery smile. I want to help. Let me help you pack. Please, I feel useless. He beamed, relief washing over him. The problem of the sad wife was solved. You are the best. Can you handle my tech bag? All the chargers, the converters, the backup drives. You know, the stuff I always forget. Of course, I said. His tech bag was sitting on the floor next to his personal workstation. This was not his corporate laptop. This was his private home server, a sleek black tower where he kept his real backups, the ones he thought were off the Nexus Core network, the ones he thought I knew nothing about. It was humming quietly. He went back to his packing, arguing with the yacht's concierge on speakerphone about the specific vintage of champagne they needed to have on board. I knelt, methodically sorting cables. I saw the mug on his desk, full, dark roast, still steaming. I picked it up. Marcus, I said, my voice cutting through his conversation. He turned, annoyed, and muted the call. What? Sloane, I am on a call. You did not finish your coffee. It is getting cold. I do not care. Just leave it. Okay, I said, and with a perfectly calculated turn, I let my elbow connect with the heavy mug. It was not a small spill. It was a catastrophic dump. The entire 20-ounce contents cascaded directly into the top ventilation slots of his personal server. There was a sharp, electronic zzz crackle, a puff of gray smoke, the immediate acrid smell of burnt silicon and burnt coffee. The server's fans whined and then died. Silence. Marcus stood frozen. He looked from the empty mug in my hand to the puddle spreading on the floor, to the dead black tower. Sloane, he whispered. Oh my God, I gasped, bringing my hands to my mouth in a perfect picture of horror. Oh my God, Marcus, I am so sorry. I turned. I did not see it. I tripped. You idiot, he roared. It was a primal scream of pure, panicked rage. He lunged across the room, grabbing the useless tower, shaking it as if that would help. Do you know what this is? This is my entire local backup, my presentation files, my personal drive. Everything. I am sorry. I am so sorry. I was crying now, the adrenaline and the sheer audacity of my own actions bringing genuine tears. I am so clumsy. Sorry does not fix it. He was pacing, grabbing his hair. I leave in 2 days. This is fried. It is ruined. Wait, I said, pulling out my phone, my fingers shaking. Wait, I know a service. Remember my old lab partner, Jenna. Her new company does emergency data recovery. They are the best. They work with the government. They are super discreet. Let me call them. They can come right now. No, he snapped. I will call our IT and have them log that their CEO destroyed his personal server with coffee 2 days before the biggest investor trip of the year. I countered, How does that look, Marcus? These people, they are ghosts. They will just fix it. Please, let me fix my mistake. He stared at me, his jaw working. He was trapped. He hated incompetence, but he hated looking incompetent even more. Fine, he snarled. Fine, make the call. But if they cannot save that data, Sloan, I swear to God. An hour later, Jenna arrived. She looked nothing like the polished hacker I knew. She was wearing a baggy polo shirt with a fake Data Integrity Solutions logo, glasses sliding down her nose, and an air of profound social awkwardness. She was perfect. Wow, yeah, she muttered, poking at the server, refusing to make eye contact with Marcus. This is... You really got it in there. The liquid is deep on the motherboard. I am going to have to take this to the clean room. No promises. This is bad. Can you get the data or not? Marcus demanded. The drive itself might be shielded, Jenna mumbled, shrugging. I will try to ghost it, but it is going to take all night. She packed the drive into a padded, static-proof case. Marcus followed her all the way to the elevator, barking instructions. As the doors slid shut, Jenna looked over his shoulder and met my eyes. She gave me a single, imperceptible nod. I spent the next 8 hours playing the part of the contrite, useless wife, bringing Marcus tea he did not drink and food he did not eat. My phone rang at 3 a.m, a secure line. I locked myself in the guest bathroom. Jenna, you are not going to believe this, she said. Her voice was pure steel. The bumbling tech was gone. I have a full ghost image of his entire digital life. And Sloan, it is so much worse. What do you mean, Kira? Forget Kira. She is a rounding error. He is not just replacing you. He is selling. My blood went cold. Selling what? All of it, she said. He is selling Nexus Core, the whole damn thing. To who? Our biggest, dumbest competitor, Titan Dynamics. It made no sense. We were faster, smarter. Why? Because they are desperate, and they are paying him, personally, a king's ransom to a shell corp in the Caymans. This cruise is not for our investors. It is the closing pitch. He is demoing Apex your stolen code to the Titan board on the yacht. He is planning to announce the sale after it is already finalized. I sank onto the cold tile floor. He was burning the whole thing down. Jenna, she said, her voice dropping. There is more. This is felony territory. I am looking at the preliminary term sheets. The agreement to sell. The one that outlines the transfer of all intellectual property. My intellectual property, I whispered. He needed a majority partner signature to even open negotiations with Titan. A horrifying realization dawned on me. Jenna, tell me he did not. He did, she said, her voice grim. He did not just steal your code, Sloan. He stole your identity. He forged your electronic signature on the official DocuSign agreement. I hung up with Jenna, my entire body humming with a toxic energy. forged my signature. He had committed a federal crime. I had the copies, the digital proof. But Anya was right. The copies could be challenged, dismissed as fakes themselves. Data fabricated by a venge-filled wife. The digital proof from Jenna was the map, but I needed the original treasure. I needed the cold storage drive. The Odyssey source code, time-stamped 8 years ago, locked in the executive safe in his office. My problem. My keycard had been deactivated. I still knew the building alarm codes, the safe combination I had set them up, after all. But I could not get past the lobby turnstiles. I needed Marcus to let me in. And to do that, I had to exploit his greatest weakness, his pathological need to see himself as generous and in control, especially when he was being annoyed. I waited until I knew he would be on a stressful call, deep in pre-trip logistics. I walked into his office. He was pacing, yelling at someone about flight manifests. I did not say a word. I just stood in the doorway, my hand pressed to my mouth, and let out a choked sob. He stopped mid-sentence. What now? Sloan. What? My ring, I whispered, holding up my bare left hand. My engagement ring. He stared. What about it? I cannot find it. I was in the office yesterday before the coffee, and I took it off to put on lotion at my desk. I think I left it in my top drawer. I escalated the panic, my voice climbing. Oh God, Marcus, it is in my desk drawer, with the cleaning crews. Anyone could. Jesus Christ, he said, rubbing the bridge of his nose. He muted his call. Sloan, I am in the middle of closing a 9-figure deal. Can this not wait? It is my ring, I shrieked, letting the full hysterical wife persona take over. The one from your grandmother, I cannot just leave it there. Please, I know you are busy. I know I am being stupid, but I am freaking out. Can you just reactivate my card? Just for an hour. I will go right now. I will grab it. I will be back. Please. Marcus, I feel naked without it. He let out a long, suffering sigh. The sigh of a man burdened by an emotional, incompetent woman. It was exactly what I wanted. Fine, he snapped, pulling his laptop toward him. Fine. You have got 60 minutes. Starting now. After that, the card goes dead again. And do not interrupt me again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I whimpered. I did not go right then. That is what he would expect. I waited. I waited until 2 a.m. I drove the empty streets to the Nexus Core Tower. The financial district was a ghost town, just wind and paper rattling in the streets. I swiped the card at the front door. The light flashed green. I was in. The silence of the lobby was oppressive. My heels clicked on the marble, the sound echoing like gunshots. I bypassed the main elevators, taking the rear service lift straight to the executive floor. The alarms were set. Of course. I entered my old override code, one he never bothered to change. The system beeped, accepting it. I was in our offices. It was eerie. The sprawling open-plan space, usually buzzing with life, was dark and still, lit only by the green and blue standby lights of 100 sleeping monitors. It smelled like stale coffee and whiteboard markers. My company. My home. His office was at the far end, the glass-walled corner suite. I did not bother with the light. I knew this room by heart. I walked straight to the large abstract painting behind his desk, a bad imitation of a Rothko he'd paid a fortune for. I slid it aside. The safe was there. I entered the combination our original launch date, 0815, a date he had long forgotten. The heavy door clicked open. Inside were bearer bonds, his father's watch, and a small, silver, static-proof case. My heart hammered against my ribs. I grabbed it. The original Odyssey code. The weapon. I closed the safe, slid the painting back, and turned to leave. Click, The overhead fluorescent lights flashed on, bathing the entire office in a flat, sterile white. I was completely exposed, frozen in the middle of the room, the silver case clutched in my hand. A man was standing in the doorway. Not a cop. It was Frank, our head of security. A retired SFPD guy, built like a fire hydrant, always polite, always watching. My blood ran cold. I was caught. It was over. "Ma'am," he said. His voice was flat. He did not look surprised. He just looked tired. "Frank," I said, my voice barely a whisper. I forgot my ring." He did not even glance at my hands. He looked at the safe. "Your card was flagged, Mrs. Vale, the moment you badged in. My instructions from Mr. Vale were explicit. If you accessed this floor, I was to detain you. If you attempted to access anything beyond your old desk, I was to report it to him, immediately." My heart was going to pound its way out of my chest. I stared at him, my mind racing. Bribes, excuses. He was incorruptible. He stared back at me, the silver case in my hand seeming to pulse under the harsh lights. Then, Frank let out a long, slow sigh. It was the sigh of a man who had seen too much. "He also," Frank said, his voice dropping, "cut 30% of my vested pension and retirement benefits in that restructuring memo that went out last week. Said it was to optimize shareholder value." He reached for the light switch by the door. "That safe," he said, not looking at me, "is scheduled for a mandatory 24-hour maintenance check, starting right now." The lights clicked off, plunging the room back into darkness. "You have 5 minutes," his voice came from the shadows, "to have never been here." I did not take the elevator down. I took the fire stairs, all 49 flights, my adrenaline so high my hands were shaking, the cold silver case clutched tight. I did not go home. I drove straight to Jenna's 24-hour operations center in Oakland, an unmarked concrete building that looked condemned from the outside. Anya Petrova was already there, summoned at 3 a.m. She was sitting in the sterile light of the server room, sipping a black coffee, looking as immaculate as she had in her office. I placed the silver hard drive on the table between them. "The weapon," I said. Anya looked at it, then at me, a flicker of genuine respect. "Frank?" she asked. "He is angry," I said. "Marcus cut his pension by 30%. He gave me 5 minutes." "Good," Anya said. "A disgruntled employee with a security clearance. That makes him a perfect witness to Marcus's retaliatory behavior." Jenna, who had been deep in her console, swiveled her chair around. "It is all here. Anya, the ghost image from the server is clean. I have the forged DocuSign. I have the wire transfer to Elysian. I have the hidden Cayman account, ready to receive the payout from the sale." Anya steepled her fingers, her gaze fixed on the mountain of data on Jenna's screens. "And the buyer. Titan Dynamics." She said the name with a strange satisfaction. "Interesting." "So we file," I said, my voice tight. "We file the injunction. We send the proof to the board. We stop the sale." "No," Anya said sharply. "You do that. You stop nothing. You just start a war. Marcus files for bankruptcy, claiming you sabotaged the deal. He drags you through court for 5 years, claiming you forged his signature. Titan Dynamics walks away, scot-free, and you, Sloan, will be the broke, crazy ex-wife who tanked a billion-dollar company out of spite." "So what do we do?" I demanded. "We just let him sell it?" "Precisely," Anya said. Her smile was thin and terrifying. "We do not sue Marcus, not yet. We sue Titan Dynamics." I stared at her. "What?" "If Marcus goes bankrupt, you cannot get blood from a stone. But Titan Dynamics. They are a publicly traded, multi-billion-dollar corporation. If they knowingly, or even unknowingly, acquire a company whose sole asset is stolen intellectual property, their liability is not just the value of the sale. It is punitive damages. It is hundreds of millions of dollars. It is shareholder lawsuits that will rip their board apart." Anya leaned in, her eyes glinting. "We do not stop the sale. We encourage it. We let Marcus sail out on that yacht. We let him make his presentation. We let him sign the papers. We let him pop the champagne. We let him hang himself. I finished, the cold logic of it settling over me. With the most expensive rope he could possibly find. Anya confirmed. Then, when the ink is dry, we serve Titan with the proof that they just bought stolen goods. They will have two choices: face public annihilation, or pay us an obscene amount of money to make it go away. And as part of that deal, they will hand Marcus over to the authorities themselves. Anya checked her watch. The trap is set. Now we just wait for the rat to walk into it. Wait, Jenna said. Her voice was quiet, strange. She was staring at her screen, her brow furrowed. Sloane, are you sitting down? What is it? I asked, walking over to her workstation. I was running a cross-reference on the Elysian management invoices. The $50,000, Jenna said. It was not just for Kira. What do you mean? Jenna pointed to a series of coded line items. This is not one retainer. It is 4. He did not just hire your replacement, Sloane. He hired backup. Who? I ran the names on the booking order against the passenger manifest for the yacht, Jenna said, her voice grim. He did not just hire one model. He hired 3 other companions. A sick feeling rose in my throat. For who? An orgy. Not for him, Jenna said. She clicked a file, opening an internal memo from Marcus to his private accountant, explaining the expense. They are listed as consulting gifts for the due diligence team. Jenna looked up at me, her face pale. The 3 senior vice presidents from Titan Dynamics. The ones with the power to sign off on the acquisition, they are all on the yacht, too. I could not speak. The blood drained from my face. Anya stood up and walked over, reading the memo over Jenna's shoulder. My God, Anya whispered, a note of almost admiration in her voice. He is not just committing fraud. I looked at the screen, at the names, at the line items for expenses and entertainment. It was not just an affair. It was not just theft. He is using company money for bribery, I said, the words tasting like ash. He is turning the crews into a floating brothel to get them to sign a criminal deal. It was 2 days before his departure. I was now operating at the absolute peak of my performance as the supportive, clueless, slightly heartbroken wife. My fury had been compressed into a diamond-hard core of pure focus. I decided to throw him a bon voyage party. Just a small dinner. Marcus, I said, catching him between calls. Just our closest friends. To wish you luck. You are working so hard. You deserve a proper send-off. He was suspicious at first, but the idea of being the guest of honor, of holding court and talking about his grueling upcoming trip, was too much for his ego to resist. So they came. Our friends. The couples we had hosted for barbecues. The people who had no idea they were dining in a war zone. I was the perfect hostess. I smiled until my face ached. I refilled their glasses. I listened as Marcus, charming and expansive, told them how gutted he was to leave me behind, but that this trip was mission critical for the next funding round. I watched him lie to the faces of people who trusted him, and I felt nothing but a cold, clinical pity. After dinner, as everyone was mingling, I brought out my final gift. I know you have your watch, I said, my voice soft and full of manufactured affection. But I wanted you to have this, for the trip. I opened the sleek black box. Inside, nestled on gray satin, was the new limited edition tag Heuer Connected. It was obscenely expensive, brushed titanium and black ceramic. His eyes lit up. Sloane, this is... wow. He was genuinely impressed. I took it out and fastened it on his wrist. I had a little custom engraving done on the back, I said, not mentioning the other customizations. And I pre-synced it to my phone. I looked up at him, my eyes wide and sincere. So we can always stay connected, no matter how far away you are? It is incredible, he said, admiring it, oblivious. Thank you, honey. He had no idea that Jenna had spent the last 48 hours gutting and rebuilding its internals. It was no longer just a smartwatch. It was a Trojan horse. It had a high-fidelity, voice-activated microphone set to record and upload any conversation where he mentioned Titan, Apex, Sail, or Kira. It also had a military-grade GPS tracker, accurate to within a single meter, that would ping his exact location, boat or no boat, to a private server every 5 minutes. He was wearing his own wiretap, while I was playing the role of my life. Anya Petrova was sharpening the guillotine. She was not just filing for divorce, as she had so clinically explained. Divorce was the smallest, most insignificant part of this. Anya was preparing a multi-front legal assault. First, an emergency ex parte motion for a temporary restraining order and a full asset freeze. Not just on our joint accounts, but on Nexus Corp, on Marcus's personal salary account, and on the shell corporations in the Cayman Islands and Delaware that Jenna had uncovered. Second, a massive civil lawsuit filed under seal, not just against Marcus, but against Titan Dynamics. It cited intellectual property theft, securities fraud, conspiracy, and breach of fiduciary duty. We were asking for damages that would make their shareholders' blood run cold. And third, the nuclear option. Anya's team had assembled a whistleblower package, a detailed, evidence-backed, 1,000-page complaint ready to be hand-delivered to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the FBI's white-collar crime division. It laid out the wire fraud, the forged signature, and, thanks to the Elysian invoices, the international bribery. The trap was built, the bait was laid. All I had to do was survive the next 24 hours. The party wound down. Our friends left, hugging me, telling me to hang in there and to enjoy the spa. Finally, we were alone. It was the night before his flight. Marcus was riding high on the adoration from the party, combined with at least 3 glasses of very expensive scotch. He was smug, expansive, and careless. "You really outdid yourself tonight, Sloane," he said, loosening the tie I had bought him. "You were the perfect wife." "I just want you to succeed," I murmured. I know. He went into his office for a moment and came back out, holding a single sheet of paper and a pen. He was smiling, that lazy, confident smile that meant he thought he was about to get exactly what he wanted. "Hey, honey," he said, his voice casual. Too casual. "There is just one last piece of housekeeping I need you to handle before I go." He handed me the paper. "It is just a formality, a standard board proxy. My hands are tied on a few things on the boat, and this just gives me the flexibility to handle any minor shareholder issues that might pop up. You know, just sign it. So I do not have to bother you at the spa." I took the document. My hands were perfectly steady. I read the header. I read the dense legal paragraphs. He was right. It was not a proxy. It was a full, irrevocable waiver, a legal document stating that I, Sloane, co-founder and 40% equity holder, ceded all my voting rights to him. It gave him my explicit pre-approval for any sale or transfer of company assets. It was a complete and total abdication of my right to dispute, contest, or file any legal claim against any action he took on this trip. It was a suicide note for my entire career. It was the document that would make his forgery of my signature irrelevant, because this would be my real one. I looked up from the paper, into his smiling, expectant face. The man I had loved, the man who was asking me to sign my own execution papers. I looked at the document, this formality, this complete surrender of my life's work. I looked at the signature line, waiting for the ink that would legally validate his forged one. That would erase me. I looked at the pen in my hand. Beside the document, on the dark granite of the kitchen island, sat my glass of wine, a full-bodied, almost black Cabernet Sauvignon, the kind that stains forever. I looked up at Marcus. His face was a mask of impatient, drunken confidence. He was smiling. He had already won. I smiled back. the most loving, supportive, fragile smile I still had in my arsenal. "Of course, honey," I said. "Anything to make it easier for you." I clicked the pen. I leaned forward, bringing the pen tip down toward the paper, my eyes locked on his. And in that same motion, my left arm, the one nearest the wine, flailed. It was a spasm, a gesture of pure, unadulterated clumsiness. My elbow connected with the heavy base of the wine glass. It was not a spill. It was a detonation. The entire dark red contents of the glass erupted, sheeting across the island. The waver was instantly submerged. The crisp white paper turned a deep, bleeding purple in a millisecond, the dense legal text dissolving into an illegible, soggy pulp. The rest of the wave splashed upward, drenching the front of his brilliant, custom-tailored white shirt. For a single, beautiful second, there was absolute silence, just the sound of wine dripping onto the floor. Marcus looked from the puddle, to his shirt, to my face. I brought my hands to my mouth and I screamed. "Oh my God, Marcus! Oh, honey, no!" I shrieked, my voice a perfect painting of horrified panic. "Your shirt, the paper. Oh my God, I am so sorry, I moved to sign. And my sleeve, it just caught the glass. I am so clumsy, I am so clumsy." His face was not just angry. It was a terrifying mottled red. The veins in his temples pulsed. He was vibrating with a rage so profound he could not even speak. He looked at the ruined document, the one thing he needed, now just expensive garbage. I can get a towel," I said, sobbing, moving for the paper. "Forget it!" he finally roared, the sound echoing in the penthouse. He ripped the dripping, stained shirt away from his chest. "Just forget it. It is ruined. Just leave it alone." "But the paper," I whimpered. "I will deal with it when I get back," he snarled. "I am going to shower. I cannot stand this. Just get out of my way." He stormed down the hall and slammed the master bathroom door, the sound rattling the pictures on the wall. I stood there, alone in the kitchen, the acrid smell of spilled wine hanging in the air. I looked at the purple, destroyed document. I did not smile. The next morning, I drove him to the private airfield. I was the perfect, contrite wife. I had packed his bags. I was quiet, somber. He was hungover, sullen, and smelled faintly of dry cleaning solution. We pulled up to the hangar in the Range Rover. The Gulfstream sat on the tarmac, gleaming, a monster of wealth and convenience. And in the glass-walled VIP lounge, I saw her, Kira. She was not trying to be discreet. She was dressed for a photo shoot, a cream-colored pantsuit, enormous sunglasses, a waterfall of blonde hair. She looked like a movie star waiting for her close-up, tapping impatiently on her phone. Marcus saw me see her. He tensed. "She is the brand ambassador," he said, his voice flat. "The board insisted she fly with me to prep for the meetings. She looks very professional," I said. He shot me a warning glance. "Sloan, do not start." "I am not. I am just sad you are leaving," I said, the words hollow and perfect. He got out of the car, and I got out to face him. This was the last time. He pulled his luggage from the back and then turned to me for the final goodbye. He pulled me into a stiff, one-armed hug. The new titanium watch, my gift, was heavy and cold on his wrist. "I am going to miss you so much," he whispered into my hair. It was a perfect lie. I pulled back, just enough to look him directly in his eyes. "There is nobody like me. Marcus," I said. It was the God's honest truth. He thought it was a pathetic plea. He gave me that small, condescending smile I had come to loathe. "I know," he said. "Be good. Enjoy the spa. I will call you from the air." He turned and walked away, not looking back. I watched him walk across the tarmac. I watched him greet Kira with a non-committal kiss on the cheek. I watched them laugh as they ascended the steps and disappeared into the fuselage. I stood there. I did not move. I did not cry. I waited until the engines whined, until the plane taxied, until it roared down the runway and lifted, climbing into the bright morning sky until it was just a disappearing silver glint. The moment it vanished, I got back in the car. I did not drive to Napa. I did not drive home. I drove across the Bay Bridge to the anonymous concrete building in Oakland, Jenna's headquarters. I walked in. The war room was set. Anya Petrova was there, flanked by a team of 3 sharp-looking lawyers I had never seen before. A massive screen on the wall showed flight tracking data. Jenna was at her console, her face lit by the glow of 6 monitors. Anya turned as I entered. She was wearing a dark gray suit. She looked like a general. She did not ask me how I was. She simply looked at me, expectant. I took off my sunglasses. "He is airborne," I said. Jenna's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Signal acquired," she said, not turning. "The watch is online. He is over international water in 5 minutes." Anya gave a single sharp nod to her team. "Begin." The war room was silent except for the click of Jenna's keyboard and the low hum of the servers. Anya stood in front of the main screen, which showed the Gulf Stream as a small, green icon crawling across the Atlantic. "He is in international airspace," Jenna announced, her voice flat. "The watch is live, and he is talking." She hit a key. Marcus's voice, tinny but clear, filled the room. We were the ghosts at his party, 35,000 feet in the air. "The hell did you pack? It is a 2-week trip, not an invasion," he was saying. A woman's laugh, sharp and practiced. "Kira, you told me to bring options, darling. Besides, it is all on your dime." A pause. The clink of glasses. "Speaking of which," Kira's voice said, the flirtatious tone gone, replaced by business. "Your wife. You said she was handled, but she did not sign that paper." "She is an idiot." Marcus's voice slurred, the champagne already working. "She had an accident. It does not matter. The forge on the first agreement is good enough to get us through the close. You need better control over your wife. Marcus." Then, the line that sealed his fate, the words that Anya's team was waiting for. "Do not worry about Sloane," Marcus said, his voice cold. "When this deal is done, she will have nothing. She will be a footnote. Now, pour me another glass." Anya looked at me. I just nodded. She turned to her legal team. "Now," she said. One of her associates hit a key on his laptop. "Filing 1. The ex parte motion is live. The judge is on emergency standby." Another associate spoke. "Filing 2 civil suit against Titan Dynamics, delivered via secure courier. They are receiving it. Now." In a sterile, glass-walled office in San Jose, the CEO of Titan Dynamics, a man named Harrison, was interrupted in a budget meeting by his frantic assistant. He was handed a heavy, sealed box. He opened it. Inside, he found a perfect copy of the Odyssey hard drive. He also found the invoices from Elysian Management, listing the names of his 3 senior vice presidents. He also found a cover letter from Anya Petrova, politely informing him that his company was currently attempting to acquire an asset based on stolen IP and corporate bribery, and that he had 24 hours to respond. Anya's third associate spoke. "Filing 3 whistleblower packages delivered and signed for at the SEC field office and the FBI Cybercrimes Division. They have everything: the forged signature, the bank logs, and the preliminary audio." Back in the war room, Anya looked at the bank feed Jenna had on screen. The asset freeze. "The judge just signed," Jenna said, her fingers flying. "Executing." Now. On the screen, a series of red blocks appeared next to every account. Nexus Core operating. Nexus Core payroll. Marcus Vale, personal checking. Marcus Vale, offshore holdings. Cayman Islands. Frozen. 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 All of it, locked down in less than a second. "He is cut off," I whispered. "Completely," Anya said. Now, we wait for him to land. 12 hours later, the Gulf Stream had landed in Nice. Marcus and his entourage had taken helicopters to the Monaco port. The main screen in the war room now showed a live satellite feed of the harbor. The yacht. Cruise was a 300-foot palace of white fiberglass, lit up against the dark water. The party was already underway. Jenna patched into the watch's audio feed. We were instantly plunged into a wall of sound, loud music, laughter, the clinking of dozens of glasses. Absolutely cutting edge. Marcus was shouting over the music. He was clearly drunk, energized, closing the deal. Titan is getting a bargain. Apex will corner the market in 6 months. To Apex, one of the Titan VPs yelled. The feed from his phone just went crazy, Jenna said, opening a new window. Incoming calls, all denied, all from his bank. We listened. The music suddenly dipped. What do you mean? Declined, Marcus's voice, suddenly sharp. The card, sir. A new voice, accented. A waiter. It has been rejected, and the manager's card, also. That is impossible, Marcus snapped. Run it again. It is a corporate Centurion card. We have, sir. 3 times. It is declined. A new flurry of activity on Jenna's screen. The Titan VPs. Their phones were all lighting up at once. One of them answered, Jenna said. The audio feed from the watch captured it. Harrison, what now? It is 10 at night, one of the VPs said, his voice alarmed. What? What lawsuit? I do not. No, sir. No, of course not. We are leaving. We are leaving now. We heard muffled shouting. The Titan executives were scrambling, yelling for their bags, yelling for a tender to take them back to shore. They were abandoning ship. What the hell is going on? Marcus was roaring. Where are you going? We have not signed. But they were gone, leaving him alone on the deck with Kira and the other models, the music still blaring. Marcus, Kira said, her voice a high-pitched whine. What is happening? Their helicopter is landing. Shut up, he snarled. Then, a final calm voice cut through the chaos. Mr. Vale. What? Marcus screamed. Excuse me, sir, I am Captain Rostova. The voice was polite, firm. I am afraid we have a problem. We have just been notified by the charter company. Your final wire transfer for the voyage, the one scheduled to clear upon boarding. There was a terrible, beautiful silence. It has been rejected by the bank. The funds are not available. I am under strict orders, sir. This vessel cannot leave the port of Monaco until the balance of 750,000 euros is paid in full. Jenna zoomed the satellite feed. We could see his tiny, furious figure on the deck, surrounded by confused models. He is trapped, I said. Anya Petrova simply watched. Trapped, on a floating palace he can no longer pay for, with witnesses to his attempted bribery. It is perfect. We listened. In the Oakland war room, as absolute panic unfolded in Monaco, the audio feed from the watch was a stream of pure, unfiltered chaos. Marcus was screaming, not at the captain, but into his phone. What do you mean, frozen? He roared at someone, probably his private banker. It is a temporary hold. Fix it, I do not care what time it is. You move the money from the Cayman account. Move it now. There was a desperate, frantic tapping, as if he was trying to use his own banking apps. Access denied. What do you mean? Access denied. It is my money. Kira, in the background, was having her own meltdown. This is a nightmare. Marcus, I am not getting stuck here. My reputation is on the line. We heard her sharp heels clacking on the deck. She was making a run for it. Anya, who had been watching a separate screen, merely smiled. And cue the Port Authority. We heard Kira's voice, now distant but shrill. What do you mean you cannot let me pass? I am an American citizen. A firm, French-accented voice replied, Madame, your name is on an Interpol flag, related to a financial fraud investigation. You will need to wait for the authorities. His face, Jenna said, pointing to a new window. I just hacked the marina's security feed. We saw it. Kira, hands on her hips, actually arguing with two uniformed officers on the gangplank. She was trapped. But the master stroke, the real twist, was not ours. It came from Titan Dynamics. Back in San Jose, CEO Harrison, staring at the proof of bribery and stolen IP, had made a calculated decision. He was not going to be the fool who bought a lawsuit. He was going to be the victim. Jenna's screen monitoring the Titan executives' phones lit up. They are not calling their lawyers, she said, her voice filled with awe. They are calling the French gendarmerie. They were saving themselves. The audio from the yacht captain's radio crackled to life, picked up by the watch's microphone. Yes, this is Captain Rostova. What we have victims on board. Marcus stopped yelling at his phone. What victims? What are you talking about? The police, sir, the captain said, his voice now ice cold. They have received a report from the Titan Dynamics executives. They are claiming they were lured here under false pretenses, that you attempted to bribe them to commit corporate espionage. What? Marcus's voice was a hoarse whisper. That is insane. They are the ones. He never got to finish. We heard the sound of boats, the heavy thud of boots on the gangplank, shouting, this time in French. The Police Nationale. The Monaco police were not there for the SEC violations. They were not there for the forged DocuSign. They were there because three very powerful executives, in an effort to save their own careers, had just accused Marcus of international bribery on French soil. That, and the small matter of a €750,000 bill he had just tried to skip out on. Marcus Vale, a new authoritative voice boomed. You do not understand, Marcus pleaded, his CEO voice gone, replaced by a pathetic whine. This is a misunderstanding. This is my wife. Monsieur, you are under arrest for suspicion of corruption and fraud. We heard the metallic click of handcuffs, and just at that moment, the entire marina lit up with the blinding, relentless pop, pop, pop of flash photography. Paparazzi, Anya said, almost purring. I may have anonymously tipped off the European photo agencies that a high-profile tech CEO was having a dramatic event in the harbor. Jenna pulled up the first photo feeds. There he was, my husband, cuffed, his linen shirt wrinkled, his face a mask of disbelief. And in the background, we could see her Kira, weeping, mascara streaming down her face, being led away by a separate officer. The aftermath was swift. It was a slaughter. With Marcus in a Monaco jail, awaiting extradition, the Nexus Core Board convened an emergency session. They had two problems: a CEO indicted for international bribery and a massive looming lawsuit from me, the person who owned the company's only viable asset. They fired Marcus immediately. Then, to avoid the IP lawsuit that would have bankrupted them all, they did the only thing they could. They offered me everything. They voted, unanimously, to appoint me interim CEO. 3 months later, I was not in my old office. I was in the glass-walled corner suite, overlooking the San Francisco Bay. The name on the building was different now. The lease had been renegotiated. Outside, in brushed steel letters, it just said Odyssey. Anya Petrova walked in, not bothering to knock. She placed a stack of files on my desk. The divorce is final, she said. He signed everything. He did not contest a single point. With the criminal charges he is facing, he had zero leverage. I looked at the file. So, he gets nothing, Anya said. He gets his prison sentence. You get everything. As part of the settlement in the board's panic, you received 100% of his vested shares. The company is yours. The house is yours. His offshore accounts, what was left after the fines, are yours. It is over. I looked out the window. The sun was setting over the Golden Gate, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. It was beautiful. Jenna walked in, holding a tablet. She did not look like a bumbling tech anymore. She looked like what she was, the best chief technology officer in the city. "The new investors are waiting in the conference room," she said, all business. "They love the new Odyssey projections, and they signed off on the new company trip." "Oh," I said, turning from the window. "Yeah," Jenna said, a small smirk playing on her lips. "A new cruise. This time, it is Alaska. In the winter. They wanted to know if we needed them to hire any special brand ambassadors to, you know, work the room." I stood up, adjusting the jacket of my suit. I looked at the two women who had helped me reclaim my life. I smiled. It was cold, it was precise, and it was mine. "No," I said. "I will handle it myself. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I would love to know where you are tuning in from, so please drop a comment below and let us share our thoughts. Do not forget to subscribe to Lily Revenge Stories, like this video, and show your support by hitting that hype button so more people can hear this story.